I need to tell you what Jesus revealed to me about where your soul was before you were born, and I'm warning you, what he showed me about the sacred agreement you made before taking your first breath is going to shatter everything you think you know about why you're here. I've been crying for 3 days straight because this truth changes everything about human purpose. Your soul didn't just appear at conception. There's a realm where souls exist before birth, making choices, forming agreements, selecting families. What Jesus showed me about this place will break your heart with its beauty. I know you're thinking I've lost it, but this wasn't about the chosen or my acting. This was Jesus answering the question that keeps new parents awake at night when they look into their baby's eyes and feel like they're meeting someone they've known forever. 6 weeks ago, I received a letter from Elena, a new mother who held her daughter Sophia and immediately felt overwhelming recognition. She wrote, "Jonathan, when I first looked into Sophia's eyes, I felt like I was greeting someone who had been waiting for me somewhere beyond this world. Where was her soul before birth? Was she watching me, choosing me, preparing for this moment?" That letter hit me like lightning because I'd been wondering the same thing about every newborn I've ever held. Elena's question wasn't unique. Hundreds of parents have written describing that moment of profound recognition with their children, that sense of reunion rather than first meeting. These souls carry ancient wisdom in their eyes, like they remember something we've forgotten. I realized these weren't coincidences, they were clues pointing to a truth I desperately needed to understand. The weight of not knowing consumed me completely. Here I am portraying Jesus, and people are looking to me for answers about their most sacred experiences as parents. I felt like a fraud. How could I represent the Son of God if I couldn't help people understand the mystery of their children's souls? I researched everything about pre-existence, but nothing satisfied the burning question in my heart. I needed divine truth, not human theories. 3 weeks of searching led nowhere. I was spiritually exhausted, lying awake thinking about every newborn I'd held, wondering about the sacred agreements their souls made before entering this world. Last Thursday night, I broke down completely. Through tears, I prayed, "Jesus, Elena and thousands of parents are experiencing something sacred when they meet their children. Please show me where souls exist before birth, not for my curiosity, but for all the parents sensing divine mystery in their children's eyes." What happened next wasn't a dream. It was more real than reality itself. I found myself standing in a place that defied every earthly description. This wasn't heaven as we imagine it, but something beyond that, a realm where souls exist before they're assigned earthly bodies. The air itself pulsed with anticipation, filled with whispers of unborn purposes and sacred missions yet to be fulfilled. Crystalline light emanated from everywhere and nowhere, illuminating what looked like vast gardens where thousands of souls moved with purposeful intent, each preparing for their earthly journey. And then I saw him walking toward me. Jesus looked more radiant than any portrayal could capture, his eyes holding depths of love that made me want to weep with recognition. But there was something different about his expression, a kind of excited anticipation, as if he'd been waiting for this exact moment to reveal truths that would change everything I understood about human existence. Before I continue with what Jesus showed me in this realm of pre-earthly souls, I need you to pause this video and comment below. Tell me where you're watching from and what time it is, because what I'm about to share is an accident that you're here right now. The souls who chose to enter this world as your children, your siblings, your friends, they're connected to you in ways that began long before any earthly birth. Your presence here is part of a plan that started before time itself. Jesus approached me with arms open, and immediately I felt every question I'd ever had about human purpose rushing to the surface. "Jonathan," he said, his voice carrying harmonies I'd never heard before, "you've been seeking answers about where souls exist before birth because your heart recognizes a truth that most people have forgotten. You want to help parents like Elena understand what they're experiencing when they look into their children's eyes and feel that sacred recognition." I nodded, feeling tears form as he spoke my deepest concerns. "Lord, these parents are experiencing something profound when they meet their babies." Elena felt like she was reuniting with Sophia, not meeting her for the first time. Are souls really choosing their families? Is there a place where they exist before birth, making these sacred agreements? Jesus smiled with such tenderness that my heart felt like it might burst. What I'm about to show you will answer not just Elena's question, but the deepest mystery of human existence. You see, the realm where souls prepare for earthly life isn't separate from my love, it's the very expression of it. Every soul that enters a human body has been part of a divine conversation, a sacred planning process that ensures their earthly journey serves both their growth and the growth of everyone they'll encounter. He gestured toward the luminous landscape around us, and I could see movement everywhere, souls engaged in what looked like the most important work imaginable. This is where the sacred agreements are made, where souls choose not just their families, but their challenges, their gifts, their purposes, and even their struggles. What parents interpret as recognition when they meet their children is actually remembrance of agreements made in this very realm. The implications of what he was showing me sent shockwaves through my understanding. So when Elena felt that overwhelming connection to Sophia, she was remembering something that happened here before Sophia was even conceived? Jesus nodded enthusiastically. Every parent who experiences that moment of profound recognition is glimpsing the truth of pre-earthly relationships. But what I'm about to reveal to you about how these agreements are formed, who helps make them, and why certain souls choose specific families will transform how humanity understands the purpose of every single life. Jesus gestured toward the luminous realm around us, and suddenly I could see souls moving with purposeful intent, engaged in what looked like the most important conversations of eternity. Jonathan, the question about where souls go before birth assumes they're waiting passively somewhere. But look closer. What you're seeing is the greatest planning process in existence. My heart raced as he continued. Every soul you see here is actively choosing their earthly mission. They're not randomly assigned to families. They're selecting parents, siblings, even their challenges, based on what will help them grow and what they can contribute to others' growth. Elena felt recognition with Sophia because their agreement was made right here, in this very realm. I could barely process what I was seeing. Souls gathered in groups, what looked like families formed across lifetimes, making sacred commitments to find each other on earth. But Lord, are you saying souls actually choose their families before birth? The first truth, Jesus said, his voice carrying infinite authority, is that every soul exists eternally in my heart before taking physical form. You weren't created at conception, Jonathan. You've existed as a beloved thought, a cherished possibility, since before time began. When Elena looked into Sophia's eyes, she was seeing eternity looking back. The second truth is that souls choose their earthly families based on love and growth opportunities. Sophia didn't randomly end up with Elena. She specifically selected her mother because Elena's heart, her challenges, her love capacity were exactly what Sophia needed for her earthly mission. That recognition Elena felt was remembrance of Sophia's choice. The implications were staggering. The third truth, Jesus continued, is that pregnancy isn't when souls enter bodies. It's when earthly preparation begins for a soul that's already committed to that family. The 9 months aren't for the soul to arrive, they're for the body and family to prepare for a mission that was planned in eternity. I felt tears streaming as he revealed the fourth truth. Every challenge a soul will face on earth is chosen beforehand for growth purposes. The difficulties aren't punishments, they're opportunities the soul specifically selected to develop qualities needed for their eternal progression. Even suffering has sacred purpose when it's chosen with divine wisdom. The fifth truth will break your heart with its beauty, Jesus said, his eyes glistening. Souls often choose to incarnate in groups, finding each other lifetime after lifetime as family members, friends, even enemies, to help each other learn what they need to learn. That instant bond you feel with certain people? You've known them here, made agreements with them, planned to support each other's growth. The weight of these revelations was overwhelming. Every relationship, every encounter, every moment of connection was part of a plan made before birth in this sacred realm where souls prepare for earthly missions with divine purpose. Then Jesus said something that made me fall to my knees right there in that sacred realm. Jonathan, what I'm about to show you might be the most beautiful truth about human existence. Watch closely. He pointed to a group of souls engaged in what looked like the most important planning session imaginable, and suddenly I could understand their conversation. The sixth truth, Jesus said, his voice breaking with emotion, is that souls don't just choose their families randomly. They participate in divine councils where they meet with heavenly guides, including souls who have completed their earthly missions, to plan every detail of their coming life. Your grandmother who passed away? She helped plan your earthly journey before you were born. She's been guiding your path from both sides of eternity. I was weeping as the implications hit me. The seventh truth is that pregnancy loss and infant death aren't failures or tragedies in the way humans understand them. These souls completed their earthly missions in the briefest time possible. Their purpose was to bring specific lessons, growth, and love to their families in ways that could only happen through that sacred, brief connection. Every moment they spend with their families fulfills ancient agreements made here. The eighth truth, Jesus continued, his eyes blazing with divine love, is that souls often choose difficult circumstances specifically because they have the spiritual strength to transform those challenges into light for others. The child born with special needs? That soul volunteered for that experience because they knew their unique perspective would teach their family and community about unconditional love in ways nothing else could. My heart was pounding as he revealed the ninth truth. Souls frequently choose to be born into families where they can heal generational patterns of pain. The child who breaks cycles of addiction, abuse, or emotional trauma. They specifically selected that family because they had the spiritual power to transform darkness into light, not just for themselves, but for generations that came before and will come after. And the 10th truth, Jesus said, his voice filled with wonder, is that the moment of birth isn't when the soul enters the body. It's when the soul chooses to fully engage with earthly limitations after months of gradual connection. During pregnancy, the soul is bonding with the body while still maintaining connection to this eternal realm. This is why some mothers dream of their unborn children, why they feel personality traits before birth. The soul is introducing itself gradually. Then Jesus looked directly into my eyes. But here's what will shatter everything you think you know about human purpose. Every soul that chooses earthly life makes one final, sacred agreement before birth. They agree to forget their pre-earthly existence so they can experience genuine growth through faith, choice, and love discovered rather than remembered. That sense of coming home people feel when they connect with divine truth? It's remembrance beginning to awaken. The weight of these revelations was transforming everything I understood about human existence, about why we're here, and about the sacred nature of every single life. As these truths settled into my heart, Jesus began walking with me through this realm of preparing souls, and I could see the profound implications of everything he'd revealed. Jonathan, when people understand these truths about pre-birth soul agreements, everything about human relationships transforms. They stop seeing encounters as coincidences and start recognizing them as sacred appointments made before time began. I watched souls around us making final preparations for their earthly journeys, and Jesus continued, parents will no longer wonder if they're good enough for their children. They'll understand their children specifically chose them because of their unique capacity to provide exactly what that soul needs for growth. Elena didn't receive Sophia by chance. Sophia selected Elena after careful planning in this very realm. The weight of responsibility and beauty in this truth was overwhelming. This means every difficult child, every challenging relationship, every person who pushes our buttons was chosen by us or chose us for specific growth purposes, I said, my voice filled with wonder. Jesus nodded with deep satisfaction. When parents understand this, they stop taking their children's struggles personally and start seeing them as opportunities to fulfill pre-birth agreements. The rebellious teenager isn't rejecting their parents. They're providing the exact challenge those parents' souls requested to develop patience, unconditional love, and spiritual strength. He showed me souls making agreements that would seem impossible from an earthly perspective. The woman who chooses an alcoholic husband? Her soul knew she had the strength to either help him heal or learn about boundaries and self-love. The child born into poverty? That soul specifically chose that experience to develop resilience, compassion, and appreciation for simple joys that wealth cannot provide. This is why I needed to show you this truth, Jesus said, his voice taking on urgent importance. People are living with unnecessary guilt about their relationships and circumstances because they don't understand that their souls chose these experiences for divine purposes. The parent struggling with a special needs child doesn't need pity, they need recognition for accepting one of the most sacred missions available in earthly life. I felt tears streaming as he continued. When humanity understands that every soul chose their circumstances, it eliminates victim mentality and activates purpose mentality. People stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What did my soul intend to learn from this experience?" Jesus stopped walking and looked directly at me. This truth doesn't minimize suffering or justify abuse. It reveals that souls are far more powerful and purposeful than earthly minds can comprehend. Every soul that agreed to difficult circumstances also possesses the spiritual strength to transform those circumstances into light, wisdom, and service to others. The practical implications were staggering. So when Elena looks at Sophia now, she won't just see her daughter. She'll see a soul who specifically chose her, trusted her, and entered into a sacred agreement to grow together through unconditional love. Exactly, Jesus beamed. And this is why you must share this truth with the world. As this profound encounter began to fade, Jesus placed his hands on my shoulders one final time. Jonathan, when you wake up, you're going to remember every detail of what you've seen here. You're going to feel the same peace and certainty you're experiencing right now. And you're going to know with absolute conviction that this truth about pre-birth soul agreements will transform how people understand their purpose on earth. I felt myself being gently pulled back from that sacred realm, but the love and truth I'd experienced came with me. Remember, Jesus said as his voice became distant, every soul watching your video chose to be here at this moment. Their presence isn't coincidence, it's the fulfillment of agreements made before birth. When I opened my eyes in my bedroom, I was crying tears of overwhelming joy and wonder. This wasn't the confused awakening from a dream, this was the crystal clear return from the most real experience of my life. Every conversation with Jesus, every revelation about soul agreements, every truth about pre-earthly existence was more vivid in my memory than the room I was waking up in. The first thing I did was grab my phone and start frantically typing notes, trying to capture every detail before it could fade. But as I wrote, I realized nothing was fading. If anything, the truths were becoming clearer, more profound, more life-changing with each passing moment. I could still see those souls in that luminous realm, making their sacred agreements, choosing their families, preparing for earthly missions with divine purpose. Throughout the next few days, I found myself looking at every person differently. The cashier at the grocery store, the child crying in the restaurant, the elderly man walking slowly down the street, every single person I encountered, I now understood had chosen their circumstances, their challenges, their relationships for sacred growth purposes. The world had transformed from a place of random encounters to a stage where souls were fulfilling ancient agreements made in the presence of divine love. When I saw pregnant women, I no longer just saw expectant mothers, I saw souls preparing to welcome other souls who had specifically chosen them after careful planning in that celestial realm. When I heard about difficult family situations, I understood these weren't tragic coincidences but sacred opportunities for souls to help each other grow in ways they'd agreed upon before birth. The truth about pre-earthly soul agreements changed everything about how I view human relationships. That instant connection you feel with certain people? You knew them before, made plans with them, agreed to support each other's earthly journey. The challenging relationships that push you to grow? Those souls volunteered to play difficult roles in your life because they love you enough to help you develop spiritual strength. I realized why Jesus had chosen to reveal this truth to me now. People are living with unnecessary confusion about their purpose, unnecessary guilt about their circumstances, unnecessary fear about their relationships because they don't understand that their souls chose this earthly experience for divine reasons. This revelation doesn't make life's challenges easier, but it makes them meaningful in ways that transform suffering into sacred growth. So let me pray for everyone watching this video, especially those who have felt that mysterious recognition when holding a newborn, those who have wondered about their own purpose, and those who are struggling to understand why certain relationships feel so significant from the very first moment. Father God, Thank you for revealing the beautiful truth about pre-birth soul agreements. Thank you for showing us that every person we encounter was carefully chosen, that every relationship serves sacred purposes planned before time began. Lord, I pray for every parent who has looked into their child's eyes and felt that overwhelming sense of recognition. Help them understand they're not imagining that connection, they're remembering agreements made in your presence before their child's earthly birth. I pray for Elena and every mother who has wondered where their baby's soul existed before conception. Give them peace knowing their children specifically chose them after careful planning in your heavenly realm. Their maternal instincts, their protective love, their deep connection with their children aren't coincidental, they're the fulfillment of sacred agreements made in eternity. Father, I pray for those who have experienced pregnancy loss and have wondered if that brief soul served any purpose. Help them understand that some souls complete their earthly missions in the shortest time possible, bringing exactly the lessons, growth, and love their families needed through that sacred, brief connection. No soul's journey is wasted, no matter how brief it appears from earthly perspective. Lord, I pray for people struggling with difficult family relationships, challenging children, or circumstances that feel overwhelming. Help them recognize these aren't random hardships but opportunities their souls specifically chose for growth. Give them strength to fulfill the agreements they made before birth, to transform challenges into spiritual strength, and to see their difficulties as sacred missions rather than punishments. I pray for those who feel instant, unexplainable connections with certain people they meet. Help them understand these bonds were formed before earthly life, that souls often choose to incarnate together across lifetimes to support each other's growth. These connections aren't coincidences, they're the fulfillment of promises made in your presence. Father, help us live differently because of this truth. Help us see every person as a soul who chose their circumstances for divine purposes. Help us treat difficult relationships as opportunities to fulfill pre-birth agreements. Help us recognize that our challenges aren't punishments but sacred missions we volunteered for because our souls knew we had the strength to transform darkness into light. For everyone watching who has wondered about their own purpose, help them understand that their soul chose this specific life, these particular challenges, these unique opportunities because they possess exactly what's needed to fulfill their earthly mission. They're not here by accident, they're here by divine design and personal choice made in your presence. Thank you, Jesus, for loving us enough to reveal these truths about pre-earthly soul agreements. Help us carry this knowledge with humility and joy, sharing it with others who need to understand that their relationships, their children, their circumstances are all part of sacred agreements made in love before time began. In your precious name, your soul chose this life, chose your family, chose your circumstances because you have exactly what's needed to fulfill your divine purpose. Every person you love, every challenge you face, every moment of joy you experience is part of agreements made in the presence of perfect love before you took your first breath. You are here by choice, for purpose, with divine support every step of the way. If this message has touched your heart and helped you understand the sacred nature of your relationships and circumstances, please hit subscribe because I share these divine encounters and spiritual revelations regularly. And I would love to hear from you in the comments. Share your own experiences about feeling instant recognition with your children, unexplainable connections with people you've just met, or moments when you've sensed deeper purpose in your relationships. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to understand their own pre-birth agreements.